In this lecture, we'll be learning about Composer. Composer is a dependency management program for PHP. But what exactly does that mean? As you can imagine, if you're working on a large plugin or theme, then there's a high possibility that you're including third-party libraries. This can be anything from PHP libraries to CSS frameworks. Previously, you would have to download each library and include it yourself. However, with Composer, everything is semi-automated for you. Another benefit to using Composer is that it makes things standardized. If you've ever downloaded a library, then you probably had to mess around with the folder structure a bit to make it fit with your project. Composer automatically takes care of structuring and loading all your files so that you don't have to type dozens of include and require functions. Composer has gained a lot of popularity over the past few years because of how simple it is to use. Most beginner developers tend to be intimidated by this program because you have to use the command line. Hopefully you feel a little comfortable using the command line at this point. Using Composer isn't all that hard, and once you understand the basics, then you should be good to go. In the resource section of this lecture, I provide a link to the official Composer site. Here you'll find information about Composer and even download it. Let's do that now. If you're on a Windows machine, then you're in luck. There's an installer that you can download and will take care of setting up Composer for you. If you're on a Linux or Mac, then you'll have to follow these instructions for setting up Composer. If you were to click on the Getting Started link, then you'll find a more detailed guide. I've already installed Composer using the installer file for Windows. It's just a regular install. There's nothing special you need to do if you're on Windows. After installing Composer, you can then open the terminal. Something important I want to highlight is that you need to open a new terminal. You can't have one open before or during the installation. This is because the settings will only be applied to new instances of the terminal. Right now, I'm inside my editor. I'm in a brand new folder called web-app. Make sure your command line is pointed to this directory. My editor automatically points to this directory. If you don't have Visual Studio Code, then that's fine. You can use the command line your operating system comes with. Use the cd and ls commands to help you navigate to this folder. When you installed Composer, you were given a new command called Composer. Input this command and press Enter. As you can see, we get a list of subcommands you can use with this command and some additional information about this command. The first subcommand you'll usually use is init. Let's use that now. Run the command composer init. This will tell Composer to create a composer.json file. This file will contain all your settings for your project with Composer. This command helps you by creating this file and inputting all your settings without any error. The first setting is the package name. You'll notice that Composer tells you the format should be vendor/name. The vendor can be considered a username. When we start including third-party packages, you'll see it being formatted like this. As you can see, Composer gives us a default value. I'm not going to input anything, which will tell Composer to use its default name. Next up is the description. I'm going to leave this empty as well and continue on. Then you'll be asked to input the author. It says to input N to skip it, so I'll do that. The next setting is minimum stability. This is asking us if the packages we plan on using are stable. A package that is stable is considered to be usable and error-free. Non-stable packages tend to have errors, aren't maintained, and outdated. If you don't understand, that's fine. We'll leave this at the default. We'll talk more about packages in just a moment. I'm also going to skip the package type and license as I don't care to set them. You'll then be asked if you would like to set up some package dependencies. We'll do this in a moment, but for now I'm going to input no for both. You'll then be shown an example of what the file will look like. It's pretty minimal, which is good for now. I'm going to say yes. Composer will now generate this file. Open this file. As you can see, it's just a JavaScript object with properties that contain your settings. You'll notice this one property called require. This will contain a list of all packages that your project requires. A package is the word Composer uses to describe the files that you use, like jQuery or Bootstrap. Right now, we have no packages. I'm going to input the following monologue/monologue:1.23.0. As you can see, the package names are formatted as I told you earlier. It starts with the name of the vendor, aka the company or person who owns this package. Then it's followed up with the name of the package itself. After this, you can specify the version. This is one of the benefits of using Composer. You can specify a version with very little worry about downloading the wrong version. There are a lot of formats for the version. In the resource section of this lecture, I provide a link to more information about the various formats for versions. It gets complicated, but if you're like me, then you can just use the wildcard symbol. The wildcard tells Composer to just download the latest stable version. Let's test this out. To install the packages inside this file, you need to run the command composer install. Before I run this command, I want to highlight that you must be in the same directory as this file. If you are inside a different directory, then you'll receive an error. It may take a while for you as it's downloading files. Just be patient. Alright, so the package is finally finished downloading. Composer will store all your packages inside a folder called Vendor. Let's look at what's inside this folder. You'll see the package we wanted, which was Monologue. You'll also see a couple more folders. This may seem strange at first, but it makes sense once you understand how packages work. There's a folder named Composer, which is just Composer's own settings. You can safely ignore this folder. Let's open the Monologue folder. There are a lot of files here, but the one we care about is the composer.json file. Just like our project, packages we install will have their own composer.json file. A lot of this is unimportant to us. Scroll down to where it defines its own dependencies, which is this require property. Some packages can specify their own dependencies. This is the beauty of Composer. Composer will take care of downloading and installing these packages for you. One of these is PHP. You can specify the minimum PHP version for a package. This is to help with compatibility issues. Alright, so the other package it specifies is the psr/log package. If you look inside the vendor folder again, you'll see it downloaded here. So you may be wondering, where do you even get these package names? In the resource section of this lecture, I provide a link to the site Packagist. Packagist is a site where users can submit their packages to be downloaded and installed with Composer. Any and all packages you want to install can be found here. Let's search for the package Monologue. Click on the first result you find. On this page, you'll find more information about this package. You'll even see a list of required packages beforehand, which is quite nice. If you take a closer look, you'll find a command you can use to download this package. Let's try this out. I'm going to delete my vendor folder, delete the composer.log file, and empty out the require object like so. Then I'm going to run the command given, which was composer require monologue/monologue. After running this command, we have Monologue installed again. Composer also took the time to update the composer.json file with the require property set. I mentioned the composer.lock file earlier. What this does is lock down the versions of the installed packages. The lock file can make sure that everyone works with the same package versions. Just because the application shouldn't break due to a package update doesn't mean that all your teammates and your production server should all be running separate versions. When you first use Composer to grab a dependency, it writes the exact version to the lock file. If you specified 2.3. and 2.3.5 is the latest version, then the installed version will be 2.3.5 and it will be entered into the lock file. You can of course decide to update your dependencies. In this case, you should run the command composer update. This will grab the latest versions allowed and write them to the lock file. This will then be distributed to all sources. Alright, so that does it for Composer. There's a lot more features, but we've learned everything we need to learn so far. I highly encourage you to start using Composer for your projects. It'll help you manage files such as Bootstrap, jQuery, and other PHP libraries.